Kid with a real boxer, real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was in full defense to get mad with that was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously. And all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, you know, I mean, it seemed crazy.
Gervonta Tank Davis has left fans stunned after unveiling a shocking new physique ahead of his blockbuster showdown with Jake Paul. Known for his compact power and explosive speed, Davis has visibly transformed his body, packing on dense muscle that has the entire boxing world buzzing. Recent gym footage shows a bulked-up, more intimidating version of Tank, a fighter who looks ready to meet Paul's size and strength head-on. The dramatic transformation has sparked intense debate, with many wondering if Davis is reinventing himself for the biggest physical challenge of his career.
You were yelling so much about him fighting somebody your size. His next opponent is, by far, the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135.
As the fight draws near, Davis's training camp has turned into what insiders call a war on weakness. His workouts now blend brutal high-intensity conditioning with relentless sparring and strength circuits. Reports show him lifting heavier than ever, deep squats, power cleans, and heavy bag work, all aimed at building raw size while preserving his trademark agility. Tank has even brought in larger sparring partners, some weighing close to heavyweight range, to toughen his body for the punishment Jake Paul's size could bring. Every session seems designed to prove that Davis isn't just coming to fight, he's coming to match power with power.
Yeah. This Santa Cruz out here today. You can't let it burn, baby. Let it burn. Mind over matter, son. Mind over matter.
This is the blues on.
Ain't nobody doing no shit like this. Come in the desert. Nigga trying to stay away from the desert. He come in the desert.
When the night
Camera. Oh,
Okay, light camera action.
And fighting for the
light action. Camera.
Come on, Tank. Come on, Tank. Work him out. Work him out, Tank. Dig down in there. Dig down in there. 10 seconds. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Remember that gun on it? They got that gun on that tank. They go, time.
when the night is cold.
Hey, don't keep me here late tonight. Good job.
It's been hard being away from my daughter. You know, she actually here, she sleep. Just being away from her, it was a little touchy, but I know when I'm up, you know, up against, you know, I know that I got pay-per-view. You know, I know I'm fighting a tough opponent, so really I know how to lock in. I know how to shy away from everything. I know how to, like, I know how to fool around. I said 10 Nah, don't do that. I can't go on TV looking like that.
Still, the odds remain stacked against him. The fight's weight limit of 195 pounds and the use of 12-ounce gloves put Davis, who usually competes at 135, in uncharted territory. Critics warn that bulking up too quickly could cost him the very speed and explosiveness that define his style. They fear that in trying to match Jake's size, Tank might sacrifice his greatest weapon, the ability to strike like lightning.
Jake Paul, Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but Jake Paul now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean, it's fucking sick.
I mean, yeah, no, but dude, Jake.
You ever watch his highlights?
Jake can crack, man.
He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pounds. Tank Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Tank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dumb.
UFC President Dana White didn't hold back when asked about the rumored bout. He admitted that the matchup lacks competitive intrigue but acknowledged that it might still help Davis in other ways. After months of controversy and a dip in momentum, White believes this fight could give Tank a much-needed financial and public boost. Still, he predicted that Jake Paul's natural advantages, his height, reach, and frame, could allow him to lean, clinch, and wear Tank down. This isn't just a boxing match, White said. It's a test of whether Davis can survive in a world where Jake Paul's physical dominance rules.
Is picking Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's where I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible. And the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So, I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole. And he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul in this fight and says something to the effect that, hey, he was talking to Logan Paul and said, hey, when you were fighting Floyd, you know, there was this, you're a gigantic guy, big size difference. There was a time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. had an overhand right that landed flush on Jake Paul, on Logan Paul.
Former UFC brawler Mike Perry didn't mince words either. He accused Davis of chasing money over legacy, calling the matchup a cash grab. Perry argued that Tank once fought with hunger and fire, traits that now seem replaced by fame and comfort. He's not the same fighter who came up hungry from the streets, Perry claimed. He even suggested that Jake Paul's drive might actually surpass Davis's at this stage. His comments reignited debate among fans about whether Tank's motivation has faded in favor of the spotlight.
Jake is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
During their intense face-off, fans noticed something rare, nervous energy from Gervonta Davis. Known for his cold, confident stare, Tank appeared tense, avoiding prolonged eye contact and shifting uneasily. Across from him, Jake Paul loomed larger, heavier, and visibly more confident. Observers couldn't help but wonder if the size disparity had crept into Davis's mind. Some argued he was just staying calm and focused. Others saw it as the first crack in his armor.
Tank looked very uncomfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-offs that Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're gonna go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's gonna win.
Boxing analyst Teddy Atlas had a more humorous, yet cutting, take. Tank's so small next to Jake, he might need a ladder to land a punch. Atlas acknowledged Davis's world-class skill but argued that this matchup crosses the line from competition into spectacle. He compared it to Canelo Alvarez moving up to fight Terence Crawford, except far more extreme. Crawford was never this undersized, he said. This fight looks more like a circus act than a contest.
He's right. They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look. If he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance, you know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there. And I thought I had it right, and it was confirmed to me. It's Rocky.
Shakur Stevenson echoed those sentiments, calling the matchup terrible for boxing. The undefeated star said it's a money grab disguised as competition. There's no skill test here, Stevenson stated. It's just for views and pay-per-view buys. In his eyes, fights like these make a mockery of boxing's craft and legacy.
He'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me. And if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah.
It's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Longtime promoter Leonard Ellerby provided context from Davis's corner, explaining that Tank has recently faced personal challenges that affected his motivation. According to Ellerby, Davis wasn't mentally ready to take on major fights and instead focused on stabilizing his personal life. Walking away from certain trainers, including Freddie Roach, was part of his effort to remove outside pressure and regain balance.
Leonard Ellerby said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it, and he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach, and that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily.
Jake Paul's rise, on the other hand, continues to blur the lines between sport and spectacle. Rather than chasing official rankings or titles, Paul strategically picks opponents who fuel viral moments and global attention, from retired MMA fighters to undersized boxers like Davis. His formula is simple: blend entertainment with danger, and let social media do the rest. While some fans applaud his hustle, others argue he's turning boxing into a stage show where size and controversy matter more than merit. Still, his advantage is undeniable. Paul walks into this matchup taller, stronger, and nearly 70 pounds heavier than Davis, a 5 feet 5 inches fighter who built his legend on speed, not size.
Holy shit, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is actually happening. What the f is going on? I guess Tank is going broke because that's the only justifiable reason you ruin your legacy against a guy like Jake Paul. And yes, I do think Jake Paul is going to win. Tank Davis is a much better boxer and has crazy power, but he's 5'5", 130. That power is not going to carry over against someone who is 6'1", 210. And it's not like Jake is bad. Yes, his fights are boring. He says he's going to step in the ring and sleep his opponents, but the only people who end up sleeping are the audience. Mike Tyson fight. But at the end of the day, he's a big guy with power who's training boxing full time, and he has beaten some legitimate competition. Woodley, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Mike Perry had a competitive fight with Tommy Fury, but it's crazy how particular Jake has to be when selecting his opponents. They have to have enough clout to be interesting, enough skill to be taken seriously as a threat, but at the same time have clear weaknesses and disadvantages that Jake and his team can exploit to win. Now that he's fighting an elite boxer, he has to fight someone 7 weight classes down. I mean, Tank could win if he makes Jake do a very aggressive weight cut, but I just don't see that happening. I got Jake by 3rd round TKO. He should put me on the co-main event and allow me to fight Francis Ngannou. That would be an easy first round knockout.
MMA icon Nate Diaz dismissed the entire event outright. "That ain't boxing," he scoffed. "That's just business." Diaz said modern boxing has drifted too far into entertainment, trading authenticity for profits. To him, fights like Jake Paul versus Davis symbolize the sport's moral decline, where spectacle sells and skill takes a back seat.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch it, see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said that boxing is turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. What do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like you said, you want Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and it's getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping added that the matchup crosses ethical lines. "You've got a guy nearly 100 pounds heavier fighting someone who's built for 130, he said. "That's not sport, that's exploitation." Bisping compared it to Jake's earlier stunt with Mike Tyson, another fight many called unfair. He warned that boxing risks losing its credibility by chasing viral hype over genuine championship contests.
That is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run, because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers.
So the question remains, is this fight an exciting crossover event that brings two worlds together, or just another hollow publicity stunt that chips away at boxing's credibility? Fans are divided, the hype is real, and one thing is certain: when Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis finally share the ring, it won't just be a fight, it'll be a clash between spectacle and sport itself.